Okay, so we're live. It is 4:20 in the morning, 10/14/2023. And I'm back on to do Kimberly Moreau 3. I was on here earlier doing the true crimes of the week. But now we're going to do some really boring reading. So let me play my intro and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me up here, and I'm going to read this because this is coming from Reddit, and I don't feel like sharing this, but just to give everybody, I've done 2 lives on this case from Kimberly and Moreau. Moreau, I think it's pronounced. What else? I got this case from a wonderful YouTube creator called Gold Truth. So anybody that knows anything about YouTube creators, Gold Truth is fantastic. And I thought I'd look into it. So basically, this is a really, really old case. I'm not sure if this is correct, though. So let me go back here. All right, so let's do this here. So this is, I can actually share this because this is coming from, the Sun Journal. So we'll read this together. Actually, I'll put some music on. Okay, so let's do this one here. Sorry. Oh. My computer just crashed. Oh, okay. So let me put some music on. I don't know how this is going to go, but the computer's doing funny things right now. There we go. All right, so okay, so this article was done in 2022 by the Sun, not the Sun, WGME 13 of Maine. So she was just 17 years old and she disappeared in 1986. Kim was last seen around midnight on May 10th, 1986 on Jewel Street in Jay, Maine. Police say she skipped her junior prom after getting into a fight with her boyfriend, and there has been no sign of her since. Since then, police have been searching for her all over the state. Kim's father, Richard Moreau, has spent years putting up posters of her face around towns. Over the weekend, the community came together for a walk in her memory. After 36 years without an answer to her disappearance, Kim's family is just hoping that one day they'll get closure in her case. That's the father right there. Please still remember, and people still care. That's what keeps bringing us hope as a family, is that we can turn around and someday probably bring this all to an end. Ken's father says he doesn't care about what happened, he just wants to find her. We're not interested in anything else, he told CBS 13 last year. I don't want to know any details, I don't want to know anything, all I want is to bring her home. As I'm getting older, I don't want my two remaining daughters to have to continue on this search. Richard said it would lift a tremendous weight off of me. We want to bring her home. We want to put it to rest. And at the time, her family was offering a $10,000 reward for information that can help find her body. Did I say 10 million? I said 10,000. All right. So that's what I've been working on the last couple of weeks here.
Right now, the Senate is the most privileged.
I'll wait for that ad to stop.
The disappearance of Kimberly Moreau, a Jay resident who was 17 years old when she was last seen back in 1986. Since then, police have been searching for all over the state. Kimberly's father, Richard, has spent years putting up posters of her face all around town. Just this past Saturday, the community came together for a walk in her memory. Her family is offering $10,000 reward for information that can help find her body.
That's it. That's what we get. Okay. So let's get out of there. And I just thought I'd read a couple of Reddit posts since I'm here. I don't really do a lot of, but I'll read this here. This is the from Unresolved Mysteries here. What happened to Kimberly Ann Moreau? On May 11th, 1986 in Jay, Maine, Kimberly Ann Moreau canceled plans to attend her high school junior prom following an argument with her boyfriend. So we knew that. They met up with two 25-year-old male acquaintances, Brian Edmond and Darren Gendry, and the group attended a house party near Rhonda's house. So her and her friend Rhonda Benton met up with Brian Edmond and Darren Jodry. They left approximately 3 a.m. and Rhonda rode with Darren's car on the way home, while Kimberly rode with Brian in his late model white Pontiac Trans Am. So they drove in separate cars, allegedly. Brian told police that during the car ride home, Kimberly was still upset about a fight with her boyfriend and demanded to be dropped off half a mile away from her home. And we'll look at that in a minute because I got a little bit more confirmation on that here. The authorities didn't believe his story either, and Brian immediately became a suspect, though they thoroughly searched his car for any signs of foul play, but came up empty-handed. Now, I heard that they didn't search his car right away. I don't know how long it was till they searched his car, but I wasn't told, but I heard from the family that the car wasn't searched for a while. Two witnesses came forward and revealed that at around 3:45, which is when Brian claims Kimberly left the car, they spotted a white car parked on the side of the street with its headlights on. The other witnesses claimed to have seen a girl resembling Kimberly running on the sidewalk. Police have never been able to identify the owner of the vehicle, but believe they may be involved in her disappearance. So there was another white car. Her father still keeps in contact with Brian Edmond, in hopes of finding out what happened to his daughter. Kimberly's sister believes she died accidentally, and the people she was with the night helped cover up her unaliving. Well, fast forward to 2015, authorities extensively searched a 5-acre property belonging to Brian in the hopes that they'll find any clue that would connect Kimberly's disappearance, but once again, results were fruitless. To this day, Brian Edmond remains a person of interest, and Kimberly Moreau was pronounced legally dead in 1993, so 6 years. I still don't know what that means. This case is kind of confusing because now I believe there might have been 2 white cars involved. White Pontiac Trans Am. Right. 2 witnesses came forward and revealed that at around 3:45 a.m., I wonder who these witnesses were, they spotted a white car parked on the side of the street with its headlights on. Running on the sidewalk. So here we go with the maps again, so bear with me because I'm really awful at this. But let's go for a little drive. Hey Mayo, how's it going? Yeah, I'm doing a terrible job, but who cares? I'm just trying to find as much information as possible. What was I was just going to do something. Good to see you, man. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Okay, so I got in contact, I think, with one of the family members. I'm not sure who this is, but I asked a couple of questions. Wanted to know if she had a diary. I'm pretty sure back then they still had diaries. River End, bottom of the hill. Okay, so I wanted to know which, if she was dropped off at 3:45 a.m., what side of Jewel Street would she have been dropped off? And this person that I've been talking to said the Riverside. And he doesn't think they've searched the river, because that was my other question, is if they searched the river. Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's getting cold up here, but that's good. The old notes that were passed back and forth back then. So she didn't have a diary. So the person that I talked to on Facebook, and this is coming from the site. I don't know who this is. This is she's a contributor to the site. So let's go here. Karen. She identifies herself as Kimberly Moreau. And I know it's from, whoops. I know it's from the Facebook account for them because I've gone back and forth. She friended me. She wanted to friend me, and I wanted to make sure it was her. And then I went to the site and had her confirm that it was somebody from the site. So pretty sure it's legit. I don't know exactly who it is. I didn't want to ask. I don't like to get too personal with these people because they don't need another YouTuber butting into their business. So she was found. If she would have been dropped off, she would have been dropped off. He said by the riverside, so down the hill. So there is a hill here. I don't know why I do this all the time. I just don't. let's go back here. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at the maps. But I do want to go back because he said a hill. So here's the hill here. This is a beautiful town, though. Gotta love New England. Okay, so let's start again here. Hope I'm not making people dizzy here. Okay, so here we go down the hill. Yeah, I asked a specific, let me see. So I basically asked, also if she was dropped off at 345, in which direction would she have been dropped off on Jewel Street? Towards the river end or the other end? And whoever this is, some people believe they have searched some people have searched parts of the river, myself and others. I do not think the police have. And then whoever this is said river end, bottom of the hill. So yeah, it looks steep. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if that street light would have been there at the time. It looks pretty old. Running on the sidewalk. So this must be the sidewalk. So she was running on the sidewalk. Does anybody know kind of an approximate length of this street? Looks like it's a good mile. The driveway. So that must have been Knapp Street. There's Marcello. How did I get up here? Route 4. Is that Route 4? So this is Route 4. Whoops. Oh, I thought I saw another light. Okay. No. Yeah, there's one right there. I wonder if those lights were. I don't know when this was taken. June 2023. So this was a few months ago. I wonder if those lights would have been available that night. Now the sidewalk switches here. They were. So it's not like all dark down there, that road. I appreciate you coming in here because I mean I know a little bit about this case, but I don't know everything. Um, is that a church? Says that's a church, I think. I gotta get up there. It's hard for me to believe that they didn't check the river. I do. I'm on StreamYard now, I think. It's a Catholic church. Okay. And this is another decline here. So this is all open in here. There's very little tree here for sure. course, I can't get to Mill Street. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Oh, so that's the end of that. I just wanted to take a little trip. Um, I'm going to try to read a few more of these posts here. Two 25-year-old dudes who hang out with high school juniors. A couple of class acts they are. Always sus of older dudes hanging out with much younger girls. What do you, a 25-year-old, have in common with a high schooler? Is Brian's white car or a similar light color? So I guess all I'm saying is if she, let's see if I can go back here. If she was dropped off here, right, she's got an uphill climb. Hey, buddy.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's late.
All right. Yeah, I just got off another stream.
Oh, right.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember you from Cold Truth.
yeah, I was on Mel's show.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Strange
turn
case.
the camera back around, going the other way on Jewel Street.
Yep. Yeah, I'm terrible at this whole map thing because my computer is not all that great.
Yeah.
Whoop.
See, this was the turnaround point also for cruising town, which is what everybody did back then. Was
Right.
down the bottom of Jewel Street.
Yeah.
And see, she wouldn't have had access to the river because that paper mill was open at the time. And
Right.
there's also a rail line, and all that was gated off.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
that.
that's
She
why I
wouldn't have
wanted-
had access for a mile in either direction.
Yeah,
to
that's
the
why I
river.
wanted to know because that's kind of how it is up here in some of the rivers. They're
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past somebody putting her in there. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing here is there's a bunch of waterfalls and
Right.
hydro dams between here and the ocean. On the Androscoggin goes all the way to the ocean.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big river. Yep.
Yeah, and it's all hydro plants.
Okay.
Like the next big town up, Lewiston, Auburn, there's no way a body would go through there without somebody seeing it.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 or 4 hydro plants there. And it's also a fast moving dark water river.
Yeah.
and dragging it would be worthless, and diving it would be worthless.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
see, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's kind of strange to me how I don't know who this is that I'm talking to on Facebook, but they're telling me that they don't think the police did.
No, the police looked at this as a runaway from the start.
Right. Yeah, I know they
And
had issues. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why nothing like this was ever checked. But
Now,
Kim wasn't an outdoorsy type girl. And see, I don't think she was ever dropped off at the bottom of this street
right.
because this street is too steep to walk.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just getting to. If it
Yeah.
was a steep incline like that, she probably normally wouldn't have wanted to walk. But if she felt like she was in danger, she probably, because I don't know exactly what happened that night. All I can do is go by what people say. So,
Well, I can tell you at least 5 of her classmates live at points on that hill.
right. Yep.
So she would have had a place to run nearby at any point if she was scared of something.
Yeah, because this
You know what I mean?
post, this post here, whatever I was reading said she was there were 2 witnesses that saw her kind of running on the sidewalk. That was from
That wasn't. And see, if Kim walked downtown, she would walk down 133, which is up by her house, the road that goes
right.
by her house further up by the VFW, because that's a less steep route.
Yeah, no, that's why I asked
Joel
whoever
Street.
that was, because I kind of see this downhill. Maine is full of downhills and uphills.
Yeah.
And, but do you know how long this road is? Is that like a mile or so, or it's got to be more than a mile?
It's probably a little over a mile.
Okay.
Mile and a half.
So she, like I said, she would have been probably more dropped off on this end.
Oh yeah,
she's gonna walk.
Yeah. Because that would have been where they came. This is the road they would have came back into town on, from wherever they were.
I'm not buying the whole drop off thing either. I just
no, I don't. Yeah, I don't think she was dropped off at all.
Now I found out from watching a YouTube creator that had all 3 of them on there, the father and the 2 sisters, that said they didn't search the car until like a couple of years later. Is that true?
Oh, no, like 15 to 20 years later.
Oh, good Lord.
It was a wreck sitting back in somebody's backyard by the time they got to it.
Good Lord.
Yeah, any DNA evidence would have been long disintegrated because it was literally sitting open in somebody's backyard next to their garage.
Yep. So that goes. I mean, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
Now, who's the boyfriend? The boyfriend was not with her at the time.
No, they had broken up. Mike Staples.
Okay. All right.
They had broken up because he was cheating on her.
Gotcha.
And see, like, even downtown here, right, at 3:00 in the morning, there would have been people.
Right.
Because it was prom night. And I mean, dude, like my last 2 years of high school were spent cruising this road through town and turning around. And being a special occasion. And the one party that there was that night that I knew about got busted early, so it pushed everybody back into town. Plus, you had the mill workers go into stores. It's literally the only highway to get into anywhere in Western Maine is that road. So there's always traffic on it.
Is that the VFW? What is that?
No, the VFW is at the top of the hill.
Oh, okay.
That road up, or that used to be a flower shop back then.
Okay.
That building was a flower shop back then.
Well, it's good to get somebody that knows what's going on.
Yeah, my dad's bar was right next to it.
Oh, no kidding.
My dad owned a bar downtown. So
I've been lost in Maine a lot. We just used to go on trips, and I've been to places in Maine that people in Maine don't even know where they are.
yeah.
But Maine's a beautiful place. There's a great restaurant in South Portland called the Great Lost Bear. I don't know if you've ever been
Oh
there.
yeah, I've been there. Yep.
Hey Charlotte, how are you? Great Lost Bear is a great place. It was back
Hey, Charlotte.
in the '80s for sure.
Yep.
Now, was there like any I mean at the time, because I know around here those roofies were pretty popular.
No, cocaine was big in Jay then. Jay
But
was a very strange town for Western Maine because within its town borders, it had two major paper mills.
yeah,
This was big money town back then. You know, if you got summer work at the mill in the late 80s, it paid starting $18 an hour.
that's good money back then.
Oh, that's real good money back then. So the guys in the mill, like her dad was probably making upwards of $30 an hour back then. And everybody's dad worked in the mill and everybody's mom worked in a shoe shop like Bass or
Oh,
Dexter's. Because that's the other thing that's in Franklin County in this area was like all the high-end shoe brands came from there.
let me pop out of this here really quick, and I'm gonna go to a bigger map than this here. It's awesome to have somebody that knows. I mean, I caught some of the live with you guys,
Yeah.
and then I watched it again. You and Cold Truth, um, but I immediately took this one up because it's like right next door here. So this is basically where we are.
Yep.
So here's 95 here. Now they searched down. What's going on with Livermore? So is that Livermore Falls? Is that
Livermore
part of?
Falls is the town right next. Like the only reason Jay and Livermore are separated is because they're separated by a county line.
Hey,
That's the
buddy.
county line of Androscoggin County and Franklin County.
So they would have been close.
Oh yeah, everybody in Jay knew everybody in Livermore.
Okay.
Everybody in Livermore knew everybody in
Do
Jay.
they go to the same high school or?
Back then, no, but now they do.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, see, Jay had so much money back then because of the mills. It was one of two towns in the state of Maine that could afford their own school system.
Well, because I know
Now,
somebody.
now they have joined because the population's dropped so much.
Because I know somebody said that she might be down here.
And see, all the guys she was hanging around with, like one of them worked at the mill, but they were all out of like the Farmington and Strong area.
Okay.
They were all older guys that dealt coke up in that area.
She didn't do coke, did she?
Yes, sir.
Oh, she did.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she would have tried it. And I'm not saying anything to insult her or anything.
Right. Right.
All the kids in town tried it back then. And her parents have been very open about her drug use and everything. So
See, I have a hard time because 1986 was so freaking long ago, right?
yeah.
I don't even know what the hell I was doing in '86. So I can't imagine what anybody else would have been doing. But I do know that they did have date rape drugs back then too. And I mean, you never know what happens, especially with older guys.
The older guys are all sketchy.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what teenage, later teen girls were attracted to back then.
Right.
Because they had money and access and cars and jobs.
it's it's important for me to understand what was going on at the time because you know the 80s were unlike any other decade in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody was a little bit more, I don't want to say free spirited, but they kind of were. It was I think I was the only person in my family that, I mean, my brother was the only person in my family that graduated. We had 4 kids. So very few people graduated. Everybody wanted to go to California.
Yep. Yeah, and Kim even they had found in a note where she had talked about running away from California. And the girl she was supposedly with that night, Rhonda, as soon as she graduated that spring,
Yeah.
she ran to California and nobody ever heard from her again until she
Yeah.
died.
Wasn't she run over by a car?
Yeah, she was hit high on meth on a highway out in the desert of California.
That is just bizarre. That is just
Rhonda was
bizarre
bad.
because
Yeah.
that's, I honestly, in this case here, it could be 50-50, in my opinion, anyways.
Oh,
We're still
and
here, Charlotte. No, we're still here, Charlotte.
you kind of can't blame the cops for thinking it was anything but a runaway either. That's the sad part.
Well, it could be.
Because they found the notes. You know, everybody knew she was just chomping at the bit to leave. You know, but the
Yeah.
one thing that didn't say runaway was her purse and her belongings being left at the house.
Right.
And that should have been the big red flag, especially since they actually found drugs in her purse.
Oh, they did.
Yes. Pills and white powder in a folded piece of paper. But as far as I know, that stuff was never tested. You know, to confirm what everybody knew it was.
Because,
Because
the 80s
you
people
remember
did take
back in
off.
'86, they still made like real black beauties, like
Right.
prescription grade amphetamines were still
Yeah.
available. And if you did a drug in Western Maine, it was coke, black beauties, or pot. I mean, that was pretty much the menu that was available.
It's we just did a lot of drinking and a lot of smoking. That's what
Yeah.
we did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There was coke though. I know there was everything going around here.
But yeah, that coke was very expensive back then too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You
People
know,
lost their
it
house on
wasn't.
it.
Yeah. You know, it was not the cheap that it is today.
Now the boyfriend, not the boyfriend. I'm sorry. The Brian Edmond guy there. They searched one of his properties, right? They searched down in Mexico. Was that the one?
No, I think you're talking about
Or was
the
that
other guy's place in Poland.
I know they searched a ice cream place, and then they searched.
Yeah, concrete slab that was poured around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they searched.
They searched an old well and an old cave, but neither of them, you know, years of debris and safety
Right.
stopped that.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of floods up in this area too.
Yeah, that next year was a big flood.
I know there was one,
on
yeah.
ice out.
Yeah, I know there was one big one because we went up there, and that's all people were showing us is pictures of their flooded houses.
Yeah.
It was weird, but
Yeah.
that's why I remember that because that was right around that time. I think that was 80. It might have been 87, 88.
And it would have been spring of '88 Or no, this junior. Yeah.
And I can't find any records of it because I go back to the dates, and they just give me the average of the foot waterfall, and that could be off because it might have been a dry year. I don't know. So
Oh no, it was a very odd heavy rain season at ice out. For
yeah,
ice breakup on the river.
yeah, it's just a strange case. But people disappear all the time. I mean, it's not.
Oh, and
Um,
people don't understand the complexity and the thickness of Maine woods either.
no, I know.
I mean, these are woods. Somebody could be standing 5 feet off the road and you'd never see them.
Yep.
You live up there. You've seen
Yep.
You've seen them. Plus, there's 100 abandoned homesteads in the woods
Yeah.
around that town with open wells.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not unusual to be hiking through the woods and find an open hand dug well.
Welcome back, Charlotte. No, I went on a moose hunt in Coos County here in New Hampshire. I was 22 years old, and it almost killed me. I mean, it's just, you could literally stand in thickets and try to fall if you really wanted to, and wouldn't be able to fall because the thickets are that thick.
Yeah.
You can get lost so quickly in there. It's it's just, and you're running up and down mountains because and I just couldn't do it. No thanks. Go back home.
Yep. I moved to Chesterville from Philadelphia in between 6th and 7th grade. That first summer, I got lost in the woods behind my house.
It's tough. It's easy to do.
And it's like 2,000 acres with no roads through it.
Yep.
So my dad the next summer got me a job with a guy who his specialty was finding property markers on the old Grant land.
Oh wow.
And I worked with him all summer through Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and Maine, finding, old cornerstones.
That's amazing.
That were laid in, the 1700s.
That's absolutely amazing.
And I've never been lost since anywhere.
Yeah, there's brambles and natural barriers. I mean, they did a thing a few years ago where they were trying to find, because everybody always says, where is the middle of nowhere, or we're in the middle of nowhere. They actually did a survey on that, and Maine came in second. The first one was somewhere in Utah, but Maine was a close second, because once you get out past a certain point, there's just nothing there.
Oh yeah, and there's I forget the name of it, but there's a dirt road. It goes like 150 miles through nowhere. And what it is it's the logging connection, and how all the logs used to come down out of Canada to the mills in Maine.
So if you're going to dump somebody, that's a place to do it. I mean, they could be searching forever, literally.
Oh yeah.
So have you been to the Facebook group that they have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I try to stay away from it.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's so many true crime conspiracy theorists out there.
Yeah, no, I stay away from that completely.
Yeah. I like facts, and the fact that I know everybody involved in this.
Yeah.
My dad used to play cribbage with her dad at the VFW that was right across from her house.
So you know everybody up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in her class. And it was a class of 68.
Wow.
People. It's not like the high school had like under 350 students. Everybody knew everybody.
because I looked, uh, 17th century markers. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they all ran through here. Everybody. Um, yeah, I don't deal with conspiracy stuff. I try to do my own thing, and I'm not here to solve cases, that's for sure. But uh, I'd like to try to help out as much as I can. These seem like good people.
But Kim was like every other girl in town at that age. No better, no worse.
Yep.
Just a normal teenage girl.
Because I looked around on, Maine cold case, and it doesn't seem to be a ton of, not like New Hampshire where you have tons and tons and tons of unsolved missing people cases, especially for girls that age.
Yeah.
I can only find a couple, and so I don't point anything towards anything like a serial type thing going on.
No. The chances of her running into a serial killer like that there,
Yeah, it's just you can't.
it's not. Yeah. And she wouldn't get in a strange car at that time of night.
Right. Yeah, that sticks with me because I heard that from 3 people now where she wouldn't have done that. So that's telling me that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've been drunk before too, and your judgment gets a little bit different when you're drunk or inebriated. And I've seen what date rape drugs can do. So, I don't know. But
My theory is this, right? She went out there and they got high, right?
yeah,
They tried doing something she didn't want to do. And they either did it and she ran, or she ran before they did it. And most likely, just fell and cracked her head open on a rock in the woods.
could be. Yep.
They freaked out because now, like, if it was like an overdose, an accidental overdose or something like that, there would be no reason not to tell the father where the body is.
Right.
Because the accidental death thing, which is the only thing they could prove or disprove, there's no way they could prove it or disprove it at this point, right?
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So there must be something on the body that showed some kind of violence. And it had to be big for them to not tell.
That's an image of her right there, Charlotte.
Yeah.
She was 17, I think.
Yeah.
She was planning to be some sort of a model. She was planning to be in a beauty contest or something like that.
Yeah, she had applied for Miss Maine.
So
or Miss Teen Maine, yeah.
She was very, obviously very attractive, which is another problem.
And a tiny, like physically tiny girl, small girl.
I don't know if, I mean, the whole California thing is bizarre to me, but it could be just a coincidence that she was out there. But when I was doing some research on this case, I saw this press thing come from California, and I'm like, what the hell is California doing involved in this? And that's how that came
That's
about.
Rhonda. Yep.
Yeah, so I'll have to look into that too, because I mean it's just bizarre. I wonder why she went out there.
Well, like teen girls, right? Back then in Maine, there was 3 places outside of Maine that existed that they wanted to go. And that was New York City, Florida, or California.
Yeah.
because none of those things are anything near Maine.
Right. Yeah, no, California, back then, every single person in my family wanted to move out and go to California. That was just the way it is.
It was a playground.
Yeah. Without knowing anything about it, we wanted to go out there and go to California because it was just too boring around here.
Well, and you saw how great California was on MTV.
Right. Right.
You know,
glitter and glamour and all of that stuff was just too boring around here. We always knew the same people. We always did the same thing. So, I mean, that's just the way it was. But none of us ever went there. So it was like,
oh, the valedictorian of our class went to California and became like a famous house sitter for the Stars.
Yeah. That's too funny. Mamas and Papas sold it. Yep, absolutely. California dreaming. Here we go. But I kind of lean myself. I kind of lean more to it's probably something that happened, and it was kind of covered up, probably.
Oh yeah.
And but I'll keep digging. You know, I never try to stop. I just because the same thing happened up here with not the same thing, but kind of like the same kind of thing with Mara Murray over here, and you know, where she just got she was driving up here. I don't know if you know about Mara Murray, but she got out of her car, took off, and nobody's ever heard of her. So it does happen.
Oh yeah, the girl that went hiking and just disappeared.
Mara Murray, she was from Massachusetts. She drove up here, smashed her car, and nobody ever saw her again.
Oh yeah, dude, she could have just wandered off in the woods with a head injury.
Yeah. Well, like I said, in the wintertime around here, you don't just wander off the side of the road. There's 7 foot snowbanks.
Not in the winter. Yeah, not in the winter.
If I'm going anywhere, I'm going into a car and getting the hell out of the cold in February. Yeah. So, I mean, it does happen. People just end up going missing.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to be pretty obliterated to take a left over a snowbank and then walk into the woods. It's just, I've been up there before. You're talking the snowbanks on the side of the road are a good 6 feet high.
Yeah.
You have to really climb those to get into the woods.
Yeah.
But, you know, she could have been hit by a car. You never know. People get hit all the time on those roads. Yeah. People think they're driving home drunk. They hit a deer and nobody ever thinks about it, you know?
Yeah. They don't want to call the cops because they think it's a
right.
You know,
or they know the cops or you know,
or the cops know them most likely.
Right.
You know?
Right. When you hit something, you know, it goes flying. So that's the only way I could see her getting over a snowbank. But this case is a little different because this is in the summertime, right?
It's in the spring. Yeah, it's prom season.
Spring. Yeah, May 11th.
Yeah. Yeah, it was prom night.
So the prom night thing, the junior prom was junior prom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if they kept a ledger.
Probably. We know she didn't go to it though, because
you do. Okay.
Yeah, I got kicked out of there because my girlfriend got drunk and threw up in the bathroom. She got drunk before I even picked her up. So.
Yeah. That's the only way you could get me to go to a prom is if there was alcohol there back then. But I mean, some people didn't go to prom or said they weren't going to go to prom and ended up showing up just for the after party, you know, like, but you know, like you said, you know, that whole area. So back then house parties were a big thing. I know that.
Oh, house parties and plus like on all, since most of the school, their parents had money.
Yep.
So everybody had a camp on one of the local lakes too.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect, right?
Yeah, and you know, camp hasn't opened up yet because it's still too cold.
Yep, May 11th is very cold.
No, you know, but you can still go out there and have a keg party.
Yeah, we did that all the time. We just grabbed some wood, started a fire.
Yeah. You know, you had pit parties, you know, fields off of old logging roads.
If there was beer and alcohol and pot. We were there. I mean, it was just.
Oh yeah.
Kim was planning on going to the prom, I think, but she broke up with her boyfriend and ended up not going.
Yeah. And she had just had a pretty big falling out with her old friend group.
Yeah,
And
I read that too.
It was over Rhonda. Because Rhonda was a known bad influence. You know.
Now, I'm going to ask a really weird question. You probably don't even know this. Do you know if she was pregnant or not?
Most likely not.
Okay.
Most likely not.
I'm pretty sure they get
And it
asked
would have
that a
been a
lot.
small enough. It would have been a small enough town where everybody would have known.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the family's been asked that 100,000 times.
Oh yeah.
But you know, you never know.
Well, what people don't understand about back then either, too, if they didn't live through it, was the fear of AIDS
Yeah, right. Yeah.
that fell over all of us.
Right.
You know.
Yep, it did.
That scared people into using condoms back then.
Yes.
Nobody was worried about pregnancy. It was all about getting AIDS.
Right. Yep. I'll tell you one thing though. Like I said, alcohol gets in the way of a lot of that shit. You know, like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you may have good plans before you go out, but 12
Mm,
o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, those plans kind of go to
yeah.
hell because you're too inebriated to figure it out.
Yeah. But into your 12th fucking wine cooler.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the
for
wine
cheap
coolers
beer.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I hated those things.
Yeah. And they came in 2 liters back
Yeah, I
then.
know. They were just asking for it. These companies are just out of the good. The people want to drink, we're going to get them to drink. That's. I loved it. It was great for the time. I mean, it was the way it was back then. It's not.
It was a great time to grow up. It really was. And Jay was a great town to grow up in.
How's it like they're up there now? I haven't been up there for the longest time.
Very economically depressed.
Really?
Right after this. See, starting in '87, International Paper went on strike.
Yeah.
And the union abandoned the members. And
yep.
The International Paper beat the strike. And
it was
at
like
the
that here
same
too.
time, at the same time, NAFTA kicked off.
Yeah.
So all those shoe jobs, those first Department of Labor went after the shoe jobs because it was all piecework. You got paid by the piece. And that's what moms did. They put their kids on the school bus, went to work at the shoe shop, worked their pieces until their kids came home from school. You know? But they went after the piece workers.
I was an electrician back then, so people forget about, people always talk about the big depression back in the 2000s, but there was a smaller economical crisis back in the late 80s too, where people weren't working at all.
All the manufacturing in New England disappeared. All the mills.
The digital thing too. The digital thing. You had digital down here. You had Sanders. They were making tons and tons of money. And all of a sudden, the system crashed and they all went out of business. And then they were all standing in line. The unemployment line. I remember that. It was tough. That's why I got out of the electrical trade, because people were making $10 an hour. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's a very economically depressed area now. A lot of drugs, lots of drugs, and alcoholism runs rampant in the state.
Yeah, I know. Back then it was even worse, Charlotte. I mean, you didn't want to get involved in these girl feuds between girl feuds. I mean, those things could be even worse than guy feuds, because guys would just go out back and punch each other in the face, but the girls, they would backstab and backstab and backstab until the person. I remember the whole that whole thing back then was just so.
Oh, it was bad, like emotionally, but I never saw girls back then go physical violence.
No, it wasn't. It was what they would do is they would.
It was
single
all
each other.
bullying and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that a lot of people just couldn't handle it. There was a big suicide. I was just reading that tonight. Big suicide rate back then.
Oh yeah, and the local area, the first parent, a girl tried to bottle or swallow a bottle of Tylenol.
Yeah.
And announced her suicide attempt to her parents, who then took her to the hospital, got her checked out, and then bought her a new car.
It's terrible. It's just terrible.
And that started a landslide of quarter serious suicides for girls.
I mean, I don't know if it was as bad as it was in like the late '90s, because I know that was bad too. People were just dropping all over the place. But I witnessed. Oh, I literally witnessed how brutal girls could be back then. It's just they would keep on you.
And it was all reputation damage. It was all done through reputation damage.
Yep. Yeah, and all the
So
girl needed
it was
was
a whore.
They made movies about shit like that. They made 16 Candles and all that. All that stuff was real. It's like,
have you seen the movie Hot Summer Nights yet?
yeah,
dude,
is
that not
the...
late 80s New England, early 90s New England?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Especially the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Talking about the girl and the guy.
Sometimes they can do a really good job at this stuff. Like they had what was that one movie with I forget his name. He was oh, forget his name now. I think he played in what's that, Iron Man, right? He had that movie years ago where he was
Less Than Zero.
Yes, there you go.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Where he OD'd at
that
the
shit
end?
was real. Yeah, that shit was out.
Oh yeah.
That's a real story. And that's all about the 80s. The 80s and early 90s, and everything changed after that.
Yeah, because back then the only people trying to kill themselves was mostly girls.
Right.
In the late 90s, it turned into boys, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It changed a little bit after that. But it was great to talk to you. I'm going to get the hell out of here at 5:34. It was great to have you come on and give me some insight into this thing. I'll keep plugging away. I'm going to ship this over to Steve, True Crime Web. I'm going to email him the information. I don't know if you know who Steve is.
Yep, I've seen him before. Yeah, he's working with Ruckus right now.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Steve is great, and all of the stuff that I feel like I can't go any further on, I'll get over to him and see if he can figure something out. But my opinion right now, it's 50-50 whether she's unalive or just gone somewhere.
Well, I don't see her being alive, sadly. And I like I said, I like her father, I don't think she was alive after that night.
Probably not. But I've seen stranger things happen. I've seen cases where people will 40 years pass, and then all of a sudden, that's the other thing I was going to ask, is I wonder if her DNA's in the system. Is there? Do you know if her DNA's?
I think Mel looked that up.
That was my other question I was going to ask the person I've been talking to on Facebook, is if her DNA's in CODIS, because I know it took a long time for Mara Murray's DNA to get in there.
I think if hers isn't, her sister's is, and that's a close enough match.
Okay, good. Good.
If they found, anybody in the family, I'm pretty sure her sister and her father both
Are you going to LA's too? LA, what's his name?
LA Wilkes?
Yes.
Oh, is he on right now?
No, Charlotte just said, lovely listening to you both. Absolute pleasure to see you in LA's at Mayo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get over to his channel. I watch Steve a lot. I just do my own stuff now too, and I've been, just trying to stay away from all the drama, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I've had people like on that page in the beginning when they first put it up, try and
Yeah.
tell me what I don't know about the case, and I'm like,
Yeah,
no, she's in my class, dude.
so wackos, man. It's just that's a problem with YouTube and social media. Just too many wackos. But I think the good outweighs the bad, to be honest with you, because if you can keep these cases alive, man, that's all that matters.
And that's all I asked. I asked Mel to do about 6 months ago was to, hey, if you get a chance, look into this, because I like to keep fresh eyes on it.
Yeah. I was covering a case called the Connecticut River Valley case down here in New Hampshire, and when that came out, when I watched you guys, I'm like, I wonder if that's involved, because it's obviously not. But that's what
Yeah,
got
it's
me
around the
involved in
same
this.
time frame and everything.
Yeah, but I love following stuff locally too. I'll cover local New England cases as much as I possibly can. So
One thing I noticed about a lot of the cases in like Maine, Vermont, it's not uncommon to never find anything.
exactly. It's
And just because of the nature of the area and
you
the
could
remoteness of
literally
the
stumble
area.
upon. You could go anywhere in New England and dig and find bones anywhere. Like, it's just not.
Oh, dude, I guarantee if she's out in the woods someplace, some hunter has walked
Oh yeah,
over her bones
yeah,
somewhere.
absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. That's why mushroom hunters are such good people at finding bodies, because they're always looking on the ground.
Yeah.
Where hunters will be looking above.
Yeah. Well, and it's hunters are always in fall under fresh leaves.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you,
And
sir.
now there's been 35 seasons of leaves.
And the thing is, around here, I noticed too, with some of these crimes, especially some of the SKers, they always dump two bodies in the same place.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like they'll go on, like the Connecticut River Valley killer that I'm following. He put two bodies in the same place, and the others were scattered around. So, but same with the Maine South Woodsman guy. He did the same kind of thing. He put two bodies together. But I don't think this is a serial killer type thing. I just don't, because there would be more missing people around that area. And I'm with you. You don't just stumble upon that area if you're a serial killer. Just
no. It's not an easy place to find.
Right. And you're probably
it's not
going
a
to be
road stop off of 95.
Yeah. You're probably looking at a local too, somebody who.
It's one of those two guys, if not both of them. I have no doubt.
Yeah, I wouldn't pass judgment on Rhonda either. Maybe that's why she moved out there, because she just couldn't deal with it.
My only judgment on Rhonda would be feeding Kim to those guys, because she knew about those guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That would be my judgment on Rhonda. But I also know Rhonda had a very horrible fucking childhood.
Yeah, that would do it. That's another thing that I was trying to read tonight, is the correlation between runaways and lives that they live. you know, people don't just run away because they want to run away. People usually run away because of stuff going on at home or um, other stuff, sexual abuse, stuff like that. So if she ran, if all I'm saying is if Kimberly would have run away, there probably would have been something going on. You know what I mean?
And if she would have run away, she would have at least brought her purse.
Yep.
You don't run away with no money, with nothing, with none of your possessions. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. But hey, if you're going to leave everything, you're going to leave everything behind, and you're going to go start a new life. I just don't see that happening with a 17-year-old, but
No.
I've seen it happen before. You know, I covered cases where the person ended up, 40 years down the road showing up somewhere, and everybody thought she was. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because and that's another problem with a lot of these cases, right? If the girl's over 18, it's not illegal to be missing at
Right.
18 as an adult.
Yeah, isn't it 17 in Maine?
No,
It's
I don't think so.
one of the states around here was 17 for a long time.
Yeah.
You were considered an adult at 17. I think it might have been Vermont. I'll have to look into that.
I think
Not
it was
saying-
Vermont, and that was pre-86 when all the drinking ages changed.
Yeah, they went from it was 18 here for the longest time, and then they jumped it to 20, and then they jumped it
Yeah.
to 21.
Yeah. Yeah, because they tried like 18 for beer and wine, 21
Yeah.
for liquor for a while, and
But smoking, you could
feds
smoke
didn't like that.
at any age. You could smoke at 15, 16, 17, 18, didn't
Yeah.
matter. What are you going to do? All right, buddy, I'm out of here. I'm going to get out
All
of
right, man.
here. I appreciate you coming in. If you get any more information, just let me know. I'll try to see you around. I'll probably see you on Steve's page at some point, but I appreciate the knowledge and all of this stuff, and I'll keep plugging away at this. But I'm gonna shift this over to Steve, see if he can figure something out too.
Yeah, if you have contact with Mel.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook and everything, and she knows who I am, so
All right.
you can get
Awesome.
in contact with me through her. So.
All right. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for keeping eyes on this, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
All right, I'm going to get out of here. That was Mayo Monkey. Awesome to have him here. Great insight in this case. It's always good to know somebody that grew up in the area to go over things with you, because you can't believe everything you read. And unfortunately, in cases like this here, there's not a lot of information. It just isn't. But I want to thank Charlotte. Charlotte, thank you so much for coming in here. You're always. I thought I made you a mod. Hold on a second here. I thought I had made you a mod. I don't know where Frosty is. Frosty came in here for a couple minutes and then he was gone. He does that all the time. Oh, she is a mod. Okay, I did make you a mod. Okay. Let me know if you don't want to be a mod. I'm not forcing you to be a mod, but anyways, everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you, Charlotte. I promise to be going over the Princess in the Tower case pretty soon, but I keep getting sidetracked here with all this other shit. But I'm going to play my outro and get the hell out of here. Everybody have a great night. Thank you again, Mayo Monkey. Always great to have you here.